Hey everyone, today we're going to do the happy Gologg. So first of all, let's figure out what in the world is a happy Gologg. So below you have a picture of Sam, the happy Gologg. Sam is typical of most Gologgs. They all have big round eyes, almost heart-shaped faces, and pleasant smiles. Their hands and feet look alike, as do their arms and legs, but Gologgs can be different in several ways. Certain body parts can be different colors and shapes. So a Gologg is kind of an alien-like creature. So our task, they give us a table that shows the dominant and recessive traits of Sam's parents. On the back of this page, do a Punnett square for each trait. For you guys, it will be in the next page in your document. Determine Sam's traits, then draw and color Sam's missing body parts. So for each one, we have nose, ears, horns, and chest. They tell us what the dominant trait is. Notice the capital letter. Also, we have the recessive trait. Notice the lowercase letter. We have Sam's mother with her genotypes. We also have Sam's father with his genotypes. So since Sam's mother came first in the table, we're going to put her genotypes on the top of our Punnett squares. We're going to put Sam's father's genotype on the side of our Punnett squares. So let's kind of dive in to figure out the possibilities of Sam. So the directions say complete the Punnett squares below using the traits on the chart from the front. Don't forget to fill in the genotype and phenotypes for each trait as well. Remember, if the percentage is 100%, that is the trait you have to give Sam. If the percentage is 75 to 25, you still have to give Sam that trait. However, if the percentage is 50-50, you guys get to choose what type of trait Sam will get. So here we go. So for the nose, well, looking at the table, Sam's mother was heterozygous. So remember, we're putting mom on the top, dad on the side. So mom was heterozygous for nose, and we're using the letter A. Or her genotype, another way to say it would be big little. His dad was homozygous recessive. Well, homozygous means same, and recessive is small, so that's little little. Now we do our matching game. Big little, little little. Big little, little little. Remember, for genotypes, we write all the possibilities. Big big, big little, little little. Our Punnett square has 0% chance of having this genotype, which is homozygous dominant. For heterozygous, we have 2 out of the 4 squares. So that would be 50%. Then homozygous recessive, for 2 littles, we have 2 out of the 4. So another 50%. Remember, when we check our work, it should equal 100. And 50 plus 50 is 100, so we're good there. So for phenotype, remember, these are the characteristics. For nose, A capital letter A, or the dominant trait, was a triangle nose and green. For the recessive trait, it's a square nose and red. So remember, I usually just shade in the dominant trait. Okay, so we can look at the genotypes. As long as we can look at the percentages here given. So 0 plus 50 is 50%. Or we can look at our Punnett square to double check. As long as it has at least one dominant allele, we're good. So this has a capital letter. And the one below it has a capital letter. So for recessive, that would be 50%. So since this one is 50-50, you guys get to choose or decide what phenotype Sam has. So instead of just circling one of the phenotypes, whichever one we have to use, I'm going to just write the word decide because you guys get the choice of choosing. So now let's look at the ears and figure out what Sam's trait is going to be. So for ears, his mom was homozygous dominant. So big. For his dad, he was heterozygous. So big little. Now let's match it up. Big, big. Big, big. Big, little. Big, little. For the genotypes, remember we list all the possibilities with that letter. So big, big. Big, little. Little, little. Well, looking at our Punnett square, we have 2 that are big, big. So 2 out of 4, or 1/2, is 50%. Then we have 2 more that are big, little. So that would also be 50%. For little, little, we have 0%. For ears, the dominant trait is a round ear and orange. So I'm just going to kind of make like a curve shape and orange. Again, on your sheet, if you would like to type it out, you're more than welcome to. For recessive, it's pointy and blue. So I'm going to shade in the dominant trait. I can look at my genotypes. This has a capital letter. This one actually has 2, so the 50% would carry over. This one has at least 1. So 50 plus 50% is 100%. Well, let's double check with our Punnett square just to make sure. So again, 2 capital B's, 2 capital B's. Remember, we just have to have at least 1. This has at least 1. This one has at least 1. Because remember, the dominant trait outshines the recessive. So this one would have 0% pointy and blue ears. So Sam has to have round and orange ears. So this one, you can't decide. It has to have that one. All right, let's look at horns. All right, Sam's mom was homozygous recessive. So little c, little c. Sam's dad was homozygous dominant. So big C, big C. Now let's match them up. We always put the dominant out front. So big little, big little, big little, big little. Okay, remember for genotype, we write all the possibilities. Big, big, we have none in our Punnett square. Big, little, well, we have 4 out of 4, or 1, which is 100% the whole. Then little, little, we have 0%. All right, for phenotype, the dominant trait is spiral. So spiral, just kind of more curve. And purple. And the recessive is star-shaped horns and yellow. So remember, these are kind of like alien-like critters. So here, I'm always going to shade in the dominant trait. So, looking at genotypes, for big, big, that has 2, so I would bring over the 0. For big, little, has at least 1 dominant trait, so I'd bring over the 100. So this should be 100% for spiral and purple. But let's check the Punnett square. Has to have at least 1 dominant trait. So since all of them are heterozygous, you would shade in all of your squares. So for this, Sam has to have spiral and purple horns. So 0% chance of having star and yellow horns. All right, now we're going to kind of do his chest or shirt kind of looking area on his body. This is the last one. So mom was homozygous recessive. So we're using the letter D, so little d, little d. Dad was heterozygous, so capital D, lowercase d. So now we match it up. Big, little, big, little, 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 little. Genotypes, we list all the possibilities. Big, 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 little, little, little. So looking at our Punnett square, we have 0% chance of big, big. 2 out of the 4 would be heterozygous, so that would be 50%. And then 2 out of the 4 would be little, little, which is 50%. So for phenotype, the dominant trait was black and red stripes. The recessive trait was brown and orange stripes. So I'm going to shade in the dominant. So it has to have at least 1. So if I bring over my 0%, this one has 1, so that would be 50. So 0 plus 50 is 50. Recessive would be 50%. You can also shade in your Punnett square to check your work. This one had a capital D. This one had a capital D. So since this one is 50-50, you guys get to decide what type of chest or shirt, another way to kind of look at that area on Sam, what type of shirt he's going to have. You get to choose since it's 50-50 because they both are likely to occur. All right, so make sure you decorate Sam. Hope you enjoyed Happy Gologg.